Talk Show. Recorded live.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 557. My name is Eric Nilsson, and with me today, I have my co-host, Matt Lungeth. Today is Wednesday, May 26, 2021. Matt, how are you doing today?
Eric, I am well, a bit warm. I was out visiting some customers in the Ohio area last week, and on Friday when I drove back through to Pennsylvania, I saw a high of 96 on Interstate 70. So summer is definitely here, and we actually just had some thunderstorms roll through. So I'm ready to go for all things summer. I have the banana shirts on, as for those of you that are joining us over on YouTube. .com/V barbecue. That's VBARBECUE if you want to see us live. But yes, absolutely ready to go for the Memorial Day holiday here in the U.S. and ready to go and hear about all things VMware Marketplace. But before we get to that, sir, how are you? How are things out on the West Coast? And as always, what is the color of the bay?
Well, let me tell you, Matt, I'll steal a line from Cora Romero, who is out doing some customer stuff today. I am doing fantastic. The weather is beautiful. It is a nice in the 70s in California, so we are now in the sweet spot. It's been a little bit dry, so I'm a little worried about fire season coming up at the end of the year, in the end of the summer, but beautiful weather right now. My cornfield is coming in nicely. All the corn is about maybe 2 feet tall now, so I'm feeling like I got some real corn to V barbecue. We'll talk about it at the end of the show, but for now, let's talk about our topic, which is the VMware Marketplace. But before we do that, I will say, color of the bay, of course, it is now almost a shimmering blue. It is so sunny, not too windy. So if you ever get out to California and you want to see the color of the bay change, just go out every day. Every day it's a different color. Right. So with that, on the show today, we are going to be talking to Shagun Tewari, product manager, MapBU, as well as our Arjun Krishna, senior product manager of Marketplace. So Bitnami and the Marketplace, what VMware has been doing with Bitnami and our Marketplace. So we got these guys on the show to talk today. So excited about that. Before we get into the topic, though, let's talk about what's coming up for VMworld. So I know VMworld feels like it's a long way off, but we're actually doing a lot of work here. And just to reiterate what's going to happen at VMworld this year, we are going to have live streams going that are open to all community members. So think about the VMworld booth that we would traditionally run at the VMware conference, where you come in and on the right was code and on the left was V Brown Bag. We're going to have that, but we're going to do that with live streams in the US, in APJ, and in EMEA, different live streams for the Theater for Code and the Theater for VMTN. And they're going to be one live stream. So all you have to do is get to that URL, and you'll be on Zoom open. Everybody can talk to each other. We're going to be doing some fun events in between sessions. And I know that V Brown Bag is getting ready to do a call for community papers for the show. So we're working with Alistair, and he will be letting everybody know how to get on the live stream and do a VMworld paper. And at the same time, Code Connect will be the VMware Code booth, just like we would have at VMworlds. And we're going to have streaming sessions that are just a room that you can come in. Everybody will be there, and we'll be doing traditional code sessions. We've done a call for those sessions. If you've joined the code program, go to code.vmware.com and sign up, and you'll get mail from Kripa on how to submit papers. And we'll be recording and publishing all those papers. So that's going on. Matt, what's new with vExperts?
vExpert applications for the second half of 21 will open up on June 7th. So just a short time away. And then after that application period is closed, we expect to be doing announcements on July 9th. So stay tuned and be ready, and reach out to your local vExpert Pro with help for your applications. I know Corey has gone out and done some other things outside of our normal social channels and set up professional Facebook and LinkedIn groups. So for those of you that are out there that have either maybe applied in the past and need help with a little of applications, or first-time applicants that want some help with even vetting their application prior to the formal application process, tips, tricks, and whatnot, check out VExpert on Twitter, and there will be links out there to those groups to help you with the application process.
Excellent. As we come into the VMworld season, should be a good time to get your blog on, or be an evangelist and go participate with the VExperts, and the VExperts pros can help you along there. All right, on with the show. So VMware Marketplace and Bitnami. Shagun, why don't you give us an introduction? Who are you? How long have you been at VMware, and what do you work on?
Sure. Thanks, Eric. Thank you for having us today. My name is Shagun Tewari. I drive product marketing and go-to-market strategy for the VMware Marketplace. Been with VMware for actually just over a year now. Just completed my 1-year anniversary with VMware. Earlier, I was in the Cloud Services Business Unit, CSVU, driving marketing for VMware's hybrid database offerings, particularly Amazon RDS on VMware, of which, Eric, I think I was here last year talking about it. And earlier this year, I moved Modern Apps Business Unit to the Marketplace team. So yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having me again, and excited to talk all things Marketplace.
All right, and we'll go to Arjun. Arjun, again, since you're new to the show, tell us a little bit about how long you've been at VMware, and what have you done in the community ecosystem, or your career as a whole. We'll take a little bit of extra time for you since you're a new guy. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Eric and Matt. So I'm Arjun Krishna. I'm the Senior Product Manager for VMware Marketplace. I've been with VMware for almost 1 year. I'm going to complete my mark of 1 year soon, like probably in the next 2 weeks. That's great. And prior to this, I had worked with VMware for the end user computing group, where I was helping them with the mobile device management. And then for the last 5 years, I've worked on building marketplaces with a couple of startups in different space, one being e-commerce and other being the trucking industry. And then I joined the VMware Marketplace team because I thought there's like a good amount of potential here to come up and, deliver on a hyperscaler marketplace that could be used by a lot of different customers of VMware as well. So that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, I would say, is building marketplaces for, different enterprises.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, Matt. I'll let you comment, but my comment with that, Arjun, is that I had a neat story. Do a lot of online gaming. I have 4 kids, and I'm a kid at heart. So I'm always playing in games one way or the other. And what you learn about people that are in IT is that we think technology, we think IT is all about Silicon Valley, or at least us guys in California, right? But then when you actually engage with people, there are a lot of businesses like trucking companies, right, that are really. And one of my guys that I did a lot of gaming with, I finally asked, where do you work? What do you do? And he's like, we run a network of gas stations in Oklahoma and Nevada and that. And they, you have a lot of really challenging environments that are distributed, right? That that we don't really think about when we're in Silicon Valley, like what customers and how customers are using it, and that they need marketplaces to deliver their apps just like everybody else, right? And so
that is right.
It's interesting to hear people in Florida and Georgia doing hospital management and what they're doing, for surgeries, and like the diversity of IT administrators that are out there doing applications and managing infrastructure is really interesting. And the levels of how much money you have to invest to support that infrastructure changes, right? Like eBay and the Googles, they build it themselves on Kubernetes. They invented Kubernetes, right? If you're in one of these industries, you don't have resources or time. You're really looking for marketplaces to come get your applications pre-built and then deliver. So that's an interesting, it's an interesting place that you come from, right? So welcome to the show. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Matt, any other comments before we get into the drill down?
I think, to your point, Eric, it's so often that we think about, as technologists, right, the bits and the bytes and what goes into this, but not necessarily what the endpoint use cases are, right? Until we can get out there in the field and understand what it is that actually makes the customer money to allow them to use the technology to begin with. It's sometimes there's that layer of extraction, right, of what the actual end use case is for all of this effort and technology that we put in. And to your point, yeah, sure, these marketplace solutions are absolutely critical. We want to be able to deploy a validated, consistent design out there that has ease of use with good lifecycle management, that it's already a baked and validated design, and gets that next step to delivering that value out to the customer, rather than all of the steps to validate and work out the bugs and whatnot. So if we can deliver that in a quicker, more efficient way to the customer in a stood up, ready to go package, in a really slick, easy to use portal, yeah, sure, that's where I think we have the marketplace. Shagun, I would think that you would agree on those.
Absolutely. Yeah, you basically just gave my pitch of marketplace right before me. So yeah, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of an ad here, which is I've seen VMware try to do marketplaces in the past, and they've traditionally failed, right? Like I think I've been here for 14 years now. I think Raghu hired me back, way back when he, I think I started working with VMware stuff in 2004. Anyway, marketplaces have been here, but we've never really gotten traction. But I think our strategy was always like, build it in-house. We always kind of craft together some kind of solution that's all, just written in scripts, and, we eventually get it out because we want to share the content. I think our new strategy, where we acquired Bitnami, right? And I think it is more and more important of an element to the whole infrastructure piece. It's no longer just an afterthought. Like, I think acquiring Bitnami, who actually was doing this, is actually a better strategy to actually be successful, and then productizing it into something that you can install on-prem to manage the delivery of your bits as well. I think that strategy makes it a completely different way to go to market, which I think will be successful now versus the years past, where we kind of cobbled things together and built it as this odd website that you could go and engage with. So why don't you, one of the two of you, I don't know who wants to take this question, explain to us, how we got into this space, this new strategy of Bitnami acquisition. What's the history here? And then, how do we acquire them, and what have we been doing with them? Then we'll talk about the marketplace.
Sounds good. So I can talk to you a little bit about Bitnami first. So Bitnami, if you think about it, it's just a library of your software packages or installers for virtual appliances that you could use in your day-to-day life as a developer. So think about Bitnami as they host certain web applications like Magento, MediaWiki, Drupal, WordPress, etc. So a lot of time the developers would want to use an application. But in order to use an application, they just do not need the application, but the entire stack that is required to run that application. So if I'll take you to the example of a WordPress is an application, but the WordPress application, in order for it to run, you require a database to manage the data, like MySQL. You will need to serve the web pages, for which you need, let's say, Apache Web Server. You will need to have some cryptographic functions in the application, for which you will use OpenSSL, for an example. And you will need to administer your database, for which you need your PHPMyAdmin. So all these different components that you need, you will, as a developer, have to go and figure out yourself. So what Bitnami is doing is Bitnami is actually taking that application, which is your WordPress, packaging all of the different stacks around it so that the developer doesn't have to go and figure out what to do, what not to do, and give them one complete standalone package as a virtual appliance that could be installed on your laptops or your Kubernetes or your virtual machine environment, and take leverage of the entire stack that is pretty much baked into it. And the beauty of this is that Bitnami continuously keeps on delivering all the updates, packaging it the way the developer would want to use it. So it becomes kind of a trusted source for all of the developers. So think about it as a packaged, let's say, application for any platform, be it like cloud, container, or virtual machines. So this is what Bitnami had been doing for some time. The Bitnami was started by Daniel Lopez, who I used to report to way, probably 6 months back, and Erica. So they were based out of Spain, and they were the ones who came up with this idea of kind of creating this application and stack and packaging them all together. Now, how it comes into the VMware strategy, VMware started thinking about acquiring Bitnami probably in the early 2018s or 2017s, but the acquisition happened probably this time, May of 2019. So probably 2 years back. And the way it fits into our strategy is because Bitnami allows to, serve these packages not only to the Bitnami marketplace, but also they extend these offerings out to your Oracle Cloud or, EC2, Amazon, or Google Cloud Platform servers as well. What we wanted to do was in our marketplace, we did not have all of these different open source applications that were available. So with Bitnami came all these different applications that could be leveraged by a lot of the VMware customers who were deploying their stack or the application on VMware Cloud Director or VMware Cloud or VMware Tanzu, etc. So with the VMware's acquisition of Bitnami, it brought in a lot of, first of all, a customer base that Bitnami had. So if you look at Bitnami, Bitnami has, 1 million plus deployments per month. It's pretty much available on every cloud. It has almost like now 200 plus applications that are hosted on the marketplace. With this comes in a lot of like customer base that kind of, helps us with, acquisition of newer customers who would want to be on the VMware platform, as well as provide a retention strategy for any of the customer who are using VMware based product. So that actually like fits in pretty much well with the strategy of like, Bitnami kind of becoming part of VMware and now kind of like, merging or blending it a little bit with VMware Marketplace.
Right. So one of the things that strikes me with Bitnami was that I think their value prop was as open source started to really become popular in the enterprise, right? A lot of the work with open source is actually getting the source, compiling the source, and keeping source up to date. And I think they kind of just slotted into that values prop of, hey, we can be your open source compilers, right? We can compile the stuff, test the stuff, and then package it up and then distribute it. And so they came through on all the popular open source products, whether it's MySQL or Postgres or you name it, WordPress or other ones that enterprises were using, right? And then just package those up in neat bundles. And they took on that work of compiling and testing and verifying that everything was in the package. I'm not sure whether they also did the OS distribution as well, like whether they would then verify it on a version of Red Hat or CentOS or other OSs. So that way you kind of could use them for the whole stack delivery, or whether they just did it at the application layer. Not really sure about that one.
So yeah, you're right, Eric. So that is something that is called as the Tanzu application catalog, which is a little bit different from Bitnami application catalog. But what they did is exactly what you're talking about. They take the operating system, the golden image, and they make sure that the entire operating system as well as any other additional application that are part of that image can be deployed on a specific version of an OS. So that is what they do, but that is a little bit different from what Bitnami catalog is.
Right. Okay. And I see that as kind of like a buy-in level for customers where, if you're not a Google, you're a mid-size enterprise or you're a small enterprise, right? You can decide from an IT perspective that, look, we're just going to buy into the delivery mechanism of Bitnami, right? Or the operating system so that I can just not worry about, I'll rely on, that infrastructure to come from those trusted providers, right? And
Correct.
then that's what Bitnami did. Then we kind of look at VMware getting into that business of, if you're running an enterprise, your enterprise wants to be that trusted provider of provisioning. And so us purchasing them was kind of in that line of, we can bundle that in. If you're already using vSphere and you're using our complete stack, you got Tanzu, you're building apps, you're providing Kubernetes framework, why don't we provide that framework that becomes the trusted delivery of the applications, which then was a great way, because I don't know, is Bitnami open sourced as well? Like we could then deliver that into enterprises and let them run their own delivery mechanism, as opposed to relying on Bitnami's delivery mechanism at the same time, right? So I think that's how it transitioned, right?
Yep, that is right. So everything on Bitnami is pretty much open source.
Right. Okay, cool. And then, as just like CentOS is Red Hat's open source, we then compile it and give you a trusted version of that whole stack as well. Then you can run it, make it a deliverable to your enterprise contract to VMware. And now you have that application delivery built in for on-prem delivery of your just-in-time or your Kubernetes application framework that you're building. That all makes sense. So now that sets the stage for Marketplace, right? Like, so, and now you start talking about Marketplace. How is, I think you've talked a little bit about what Marketplace is. I don't know if we need to deep dive into that, or then I can start picking apart your Marketplace efforts and talk to you about how that's going. So if you want to give us a little bit more summary, or we can drill down into like, what do you guys got? What are the most popular things you're delivering in Marketplace? How do you want to move forward?
Yeah,
Sounds
I mean,
good.
I can give a quick pitch, and Arjun, feel free to jump in because
Sure.
we can keep talking hours and hours, Eric, about Marketplace. So Arjun can probably stop us at the right time. But yeah, I think we already kind of touched on it a little bit, right? The VMware Marketplace, just like any other B2B tech marketplace, right? If you look at AWS Marketplace, you look at Azure Marketplace, right? We're really looking to make third-party solutions as well as open source solutions. And open source again here, because we already talked about Bitnami, right? So open source refers to Bitnami. But we're looking to make these solutions available to VMware customers, deployable on VMware endpoints, right? So think Bitnami plus third-party solutions that we're making available in this one discoverability portal or this one bazaar where you can discover, you can try, very soon, you can also buy. So we're going to have transactions happening on Marketplace pretty soon, and then deploy, right, these solutions on whichever endpoint of VMware you're working with. So VMware Marketplace today actually covers a whole breadth of deployment endpoints. It has on-prem, it has hybrid cloud, and it has Kubernetes as well. So you can deploy on Naked vSphere, you can deploy on VMware Cloud Foundation. You can go all the way to Kubernetes. You can deploy on Tanzu Kubernetes Grid, and you can also deploy on. We can also support deploying via our cloud provider partners through VCD, so through vCloud Director. So we're trying to kind of make this one-stop shop essentially across of VMware to say, okay, it's not just containers or open source, but we're trying to really make available any third-party software or SaaS offering that our customers would be interested in and would like to just quickly spin up, right, and easily discover and deploy on their VMware platforms. So VMware Marketplace, Eric, as you rightly said, right, this initiative is actually fairly new. VMware Marketplace was launched in, correct me if I'm wrong, Arjun, but it was 2019, so August, September of 2019. So it's been around for just a few years. And we support, like I said, multiple deployment platforms, so also multiple artifact types as well. So it's containers and headshots on the other hand. On the other hand, we have, ISOs, OVAs, and what have you. We're trying to be, cover the breadth of solutions that we can offer, right, and be this one market front or this one storefront for any application that can run on VMware endpoints.
Nice.
So Shagun, a little bit to the UI with that, right? As we talk about, covering all of the different applications or the availability of applications. So for example, I just went to marketplace.cloud.vmware.com, which is obviously the front end URL for the marketplace. And I just did a simple search for Postgres, right? And I get 19 different results. And obviously we could look at everything from, containerized applications to OVAs to something might be even deployed off of Photon. And it looks like that you have it sorted through with different icons as far as how the packages or let's call it the app stack is potentially deployed. Can you walk us through that a little bit? So if how does a user differentiate between what might be deployed on a container versus an OVA or a full OS-backed app stack?
Sure, yeah. So actually, this is a very new feature that Arjun on this call launched. And so we just launched a new whole overhaul of UI very early on this year, where we introduced new, first off, industry categories. So we're now sorting, all of these solutions. There are like 2,000 plus solutions on the marketplace today. And so they're sorted by, I think about 18 categories today that cover the length and breadth of, very industry standard categories, right? You have AI/ML, you have developer tools, you have DevOps, then on the other hand, you have, hybrid cloud offerings, storage, backup, what have you. So that's typically, that would be your first line of segregation. Right, unless you know exactly what you want to search for. But if you're just browsing, you'd probably just filter by these categories. And then within that, there are multiple ways to filter the solutions as well. So you can filter by compatibility type. So which VMware solution is this third party, solution compatible with, right? So if you are a VMware customer, and
Filter
you
by
already
VCD
have
instances, sure, right?
exactly right. So you can filter by that, or if you know exactly what form factor you're looking at, so you can also filter by containers, ISOs, OVAs, right? Or you're just looking at a SaaS offering, you can also filter by that. And then within that, you can also filter, if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can also filter by the publisher type. So if you mentioned Postgres, right? So you can have Bitnami's Helm chart, Postgres. You can have our first party offerings. So we also have first party offerings, right? We just started listing those as well. So we have VMware Tanzu Postgres listed, right? Or you could perhaps have other Postgres versions, for example, Crunchy Postgres operator, right? You would have a bunch of third party, first party open source solutions, but there would be multiple ways you can slice and dice it, essentially, by using these filter functionalities. Arjun, I don't know if you have more to add on here, because there's a lot more work that went into this earlier this year to roll out these filters.
That is correct. And to talk about what Shagun is saying about filters, and Matt, where you're asking about the icons as well. A lot of these solutions that you look in the marketplace, let's say Postgres in this case, a virtual appliance could be deployed on, let's say, VMware Cloud on AWS. They could be deployed on VMware Cloud Director. They could be deployed on VCF, like on-prem, pretty much. So those different icons actually tells the end user, that could be an IT admin, that could be a developer, that could be an enterprise, that if I am going to use a solution that is available on the VMware Marketplace, where all or what all endpoints can I deploy these applications to? So that is when you see those different icons. You will see like an icon for VMC on AWS, a VMware Cloud Director, and on-prem, etc. That kind of signifies you that that a particular solution could be deployed on one or multiple endpoints. So that is also what we kind of filter all the solutions by. So you could see one solution being part of different deployment endpoints, or it could be part of just one deployment endpoint, or there could be certain solutions that are kind of like add-ons, like your complementary management packs, content pack kind of solutions that are just complementing your existing implementation, so you cannot directly deploy them to an endpoint.
So with that, let's say I find the Postgres deployment that I want to, or the particular application that suits my needs. Mm-hmm. What's the next step? What do we need to do to make sure that I can deploy this, whether it's on-prem or in an SDDC instance with one of our partners, or at Azure or AWS or whatnot? What's involved now that I've found the search results that I want to deploy that particular app stack out?
Sure. So the first thing, when you identify the solution that you would want to use, let's say a solution is deployable on VMC on AWS, which is your VMware Cloud on AWS. For that to happen, you will need to have your SDDC, as you were talking about. So you will have to have a VMC on AWS instance already spun up. Once you have that, SDDC instance already spun up, then you will need to use their credentials to actually punch them into the marketplace. So in marketplace, a solution could be directly deployed from marketplace onto your SDDC into a content library. And that could easily be done if you have the right credentials for your SDDCs. So let's say VMware Cloud on AWS instance could be managed by vCenter. So you will need to log it into your vCenter. You will need to get those credentials, punch them into the VMware Marketplace, and then the marketplace is smart enough to automatically deploy the asset or that application to your SDDC, where you can start firing it up to install it completely. So that makes it a very good end-to-end capability in the marketplace, where you can do the full lifecycle management, right from figuring out what application would you want to use, deploying it directly from the marketplace to your SDDC as to the application that you would want to use. And also, if you would want to unsubscribe or add any additional capabilities that are like the packs along with it, you could do that from the marketplace itself. So it's a full life cycle that you could do directly from the marketplace without actually going inside the SDDC.
So you spoke about lifecycle management. What happens if that third-party developer within the marketplace for security or just performance improvements or whatnot updates that particular app stack? How is the admin notified that there is a new package available? And then how do they go through that process of pushing out that content library to their SDDC?
Correct. So whenever a newer version of a solution or an application is made available on the marketplace, they do get the information of that there is a newer version of this particular solution available to them. It depends. There are two different aspects to it. One aspect is that you can do continuous, delivery of the update directly via command line prompt, or certain publishers, which are, let's say, third party, they would require you to agree to certain terms and conditions. So let's say you were talking about Postgres, and I'm going to make this a hypothetical example. Postgres 1.0 is something that you subscribe to and you're deploying it. Come Postgres 2.0 version, maybe the encryption that they are using has changed, or the some of the cryptographical things that they're using completely change. So you will have to sign a new terms and conditions to make sure you can use their solution or services. So there are two ways of it. One is the continuous delivery that could happen via command line prompt, or the other is you will have to come back to the marketplace and agree to the terms and conditions before you can redeploy the newer version to your instance.
Makes sense. Eric, back to you. I know you have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, some drill downs on security and networking, right? So as you're delivering into my infrastructure, I got to assume that I have to have some kind of connection, a secure connection into the marketplace, like to my data center. It makes me a little nervous when I'm pulling things down off the web. How do we engage there? And if I have cloud provider that I'm using for some of that, how do you, is it just HTTPS and you're delivering, content through HTTPS and just rely on that? What's the mechanism by which I tie my data center into the marketplace delivery system?
Gotcha. That's a fair question. So we at Marketplace take security as like our utmost important thing that we need to deliver on. So when it comes to security, every connection that we are talking about is secured. So it's all HTTPS connection. And the good thing is that any third party or even first party applications that are being hosted in the VMware Marketplace, those bits and bytes are actually being hosted within the marketplace. So Marketplace actually does the due diligence of running a security scan on all the different assets. And for Kubernetes-based Helm charts, we also do a level of validation, platform validation within our system to make sure that these solutions will work flawlessly on our endpoints. So we do our due diligence of, first of all, figuring out that the packages or the assets that are being hosted within the marketplace are accurate. And once they are, we are delivering them to the cloud-based services like VMC on AWS or vCloud Director directly from the endpoints. And for on-prem situations like VCF that people are using or vSphere, we provide them a link or like a secured link that they could use to actually pull all the assets by themselves manually. So we do not allow direct deployment of solutions from the marketplace, which is a cloud-based solution, to your on-prem solutions. We ask you that if you're an on-prem, you would want to get a link from the marketplace and then you manually pull it out so that you are 100% sure about like whatever is being delivered to you is what you were expecting it to be. So security is 110% taken care of when we are delivering assets.
All right. Second question I have, which I'm going to drill back into a little bit. I know you've kind of answered it, but I'm going to pick your answer apart a little bit. Is that for me, marketplaces have always been about revisions, right? Like it quickly becomes this like unmanageable nightmare of, oh, well, I'm using this and I got this section of my enterprise over here that's on this version and they can't move because they have 3 other dependencies on these other applications. And it becomes this dependency grid of trying to manage it. Eventually, I just give up and I run it myself because I have such a complicated revision hierarchy in my org that I can't just happily pull down whatever they're feeding me because I can't, right? Because I have revision headaches, right? Have you guys seen this as part of the customer experience, like where they're struggling with revisions or, oh gosh, these guys are using MySQL version X and this whole thing over here is dependent on Y. I can't deploy Y until I solve X. And no, there's a W and a T over here. It seems like for me, I've always struggled with that revision question. And maybe it's just that you have to start drinking the Kool-Aid and upgrade your whole enterprise to a thing that can consume these readily packaged payloads and then manage and get everybody to that level so you can manage that. But I'm just wondering how that's playing out, because that's one for me when I was running a data center, that was my challenge.
Gotcha. That's a fair question, Eric. So we do not really land into situations like those. And I'll tell you why. Because Marketplace is a platform for hosting all the solutions. So people could find, they could buy when we have that capability and deploy all of the different solutions. We are not aggregating all these different solutions into a big hard bundle. So you have all these different solutions. Let's say you were talking about solution A, revision X, solution B, revision Y.
I
They're
see.
all separate entities within the marketplace.
I can pick and choose the versions I need in each one of those pieces. So MySQL version X, this, and then just pull those down accordingly. You're not bundling
Correct.
on that, right?
Correct. And the thing is, then from that point onwards, it's up to the enterprise or the development team or the developers to figure out if they are compatible. Will it work with them? What do they have to do to make sure they work with the most recent version of, let's say, Postgres or MySQL and whatnot? So we don't get into that business of aggregating or bundling all the different solutions and providing it to the end user.
And I think there's levels of that, right? Like there's sometimes where I've seen my application engineers use a plugin or a customization, or they get the source and they compile one app that has some customizations that then they have to deal with, right? And then, then I have to pull down other components to that, and then we have to test to make sure that's all working. And there's some things that then will be out of scope for what we can touch. Other things like common applications, right? Mail servers,
Right.
web servers, whatever. Those are things that nobody's touching, and I should be able to just plug that in and manage that accordingly. That makes sense. My final question, then Matt, I'll let you hit some of the topics we're talking about in chat. But my other one, it might be for Shagun, a little bit of AWS and their marketplace, right? Like, do you see their marketplace as successful? Is this like kind of are these things working for our competitors? And this is why we also think it's a good place to be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think AWS is, of course, the star that we follow. I mean, they've been around for, of course, much longer. Like I said, VMware Marketplace has been 2+ years, right? AWS Marketplace, I believe, is completing over a decade now. And they're the exact same thing, right? B2B tech ecosystem of solutions. I think we are today at 2,000. They're today at, I think, 10,000 plus solutions, right? I think where it ends up being a little bit not difficult, but actually similar, is that their solutions drive EC2 compute, right? AWS compute versus what we're trying to do is we're trying to be in the public, private, and hybrid cloud realm. So I actually see that as a VMware Marketplace differentiator to say, okay, actually, we're giving you solutions that will work across the breadth of the diverse VMware deployment endpoints that VMware offers. So we're actually drawing on the strength of VMware playing in all these different cloud realms, and we're saying, hey, we'll give you solutions that will work everywhere. But yeah, to your question, Eric, yes, absolutely. I think the whole point of e-commerce, of course, it's different in the consumer realm, but even in the B2B realm, I say e-commerce and the whole the customer drive of just easy click deploy, right? It's just that continuous need and that shifting need to, hey, I don't necessarily want to go through RFPs for every single solution. Can I just get a quick sell motion, right? Can I just quickly click deploy on my running instance, right? And in an ideal world, I would also like to purchase, right? So click, buy, deploy, and purchase, right? In the same seller motion. I think we're seeing that grow in the industry just overall, of course, from the consumer standpoint, but also in the B2B realm. And I think that's where marketplaces, just the whole discoverability angle of having all these solutions in one place and making sure they're certified and validated on all the popular deployment platforms that we have ends up being really important, even as we look to the future.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I know that I run some workloads in AWS. I run some workloads in a cage, and then I buy SaaS workloads from other rack providers. And I'm managing all of that at all times. And there's certainly a need not just to be on AWS. AWS doesn't work for me for a bunch of reasons on all applications, depending on the amount of compute resource my bill, how much it's costing me, all kind of things. And solution providers that layer on top of that. So having a marketplace that's not dependent on the AWS EC2 instances is actually critical for me from a long-term strategy perspective, right? I can't be completely tied to AWS. It's just not going to work. So I could definitely see having a generic marketplace that then does what they offer. And then as long as you're covering a large number of the applications, I don't have to have everything. There's a sweet spot that a couple thousand would probably work for me as well. All right, Matt, you get to have the fun questions.
So, Shagun, I'm a third-party developer. I have a containerized application, and I want to place it on the marketplace. What's the process? What's involved? How do I get my particular containerized application up there and visible for others to consume? And what is the process of, once this is launched up there, of getting feedback from customers through the marketplace?
I'm so glad you asked about containers specifically, Matt, because that allows me to shamelessly plug in a new feature that we just launched for containers specifically. So I'll probably go really high level first. For any new ISV or publisher who would want to publish on Marketplace, there are 3 high level steps. The first is you would have to enroll as a TAP partner or our technical alliance partner before you can publish on the Marketplace. So that's step 1. Once you're enrolled in TAP, you can get in touch with us. But before that, if you want to validate your solution as well, because ideally you would want to list your container along with your listing on the Marketplace, then now we have a new feature on the Marketplace called as CVAS, which is short form for Continuous Validation as a Service. So if you have a Helm chart artifact, very specifically speaking, then you can start your listing on the Marketplace. Once your org is ready, once you have the publisher rights through the Marketplace team, you can start your listing. Specifically, we call it a distributable solution listing. And you can upload your container, put in your marketing information, right? There are a few prompts. It's a pretty good automated process where it asks you for your logo, marketing information, description of what the product is, what category do you think it'll fit in, right? What are the different tags you'd want to put in? Which products on VMware do you think it'll be compatible with? In this case, it's container. So I'd say, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. So you'd choose that, right? So customers can see that your solution is deployable on Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. Upload your Helm chart or give us, the repo name where your Helm chart is uploaded, and then click submit, right? Put in your encryption details and other few details and click submit. And on the rare end, Marketplace has something called a continuous validation engine, which will run on the back end and actually take that Helm chart and make sure it's validated on the latest version of TKG every single time. So as a publisher, you'll be able to see on your listing that your solution has been validated. And then there will be something called what we call a deploy button that shows up on the listing, which then customers can go, they can click on deploy if they like your solution, and actually view the EULA, say yes to the EULA, and then start to deploy the Helm chart. So you wouldn't necessarily have to go through any manual validation processes, right? You wouldn't have to work with a whole bunch of other teams to say, okay, let me test this on a TKG instance and then be certified and then get the validated badge. All you have to do is just create a listing on Marketplace, and that automatically gets you eligible to get the partner ready for VMware Tanzu badge. So that, for now, particularly holds true only for Helm charts and Tanzu ISVs. And because you mentioned containers, I figured, this is a new process that we are specifically talking to container ISVs about. But very soon, we're going to be rolling this out for all the form factors that we have on Marketplace, just to make that validation process really easy. Just so any single time there's a new version of TKG, let's say, that rolls out in the next month, Marketplace will make sure your asset is always tested/certified on the latest version of TKG that's available on the Marketplace. And so for the customer, that makes sure they have access to the latest version of the app on the latest version of platform every single time they're trying to get it from the Marketplace. So that's the publisher flow that a Tanzu ISV, as we call them, or a container ISV in this case, would go through. It would be slightly different for, like I said, CVAS right now is only for container solutions. So if you had, let's say, an OVA or an ISO, you would still become a TAP partner first. Then you would get your solution tested on whichever deployment platform you're interested in, whether it's VCF, whether it's VCD, right, whatever the platform may be. And then you complete your listing and upload your assets on the listing, click submit. Somebody on the Marketplace team views your listing for accuracy and hit submit, and you're literally live as soon as the listing is approved. Arjun, please feel free to jump in if I've missed anything there. I know I've talked about a whole bunch of things, CVAS, publisher listings, but yeah, I'll pause here.
No, Shagun, so you covered it all. In essence, what we are trying to do is we are trying to provide all of our customers who would want to use any applications a trusted source. So we want to become that centralized trusted source where we only allow the solutions in the marketplace that are fully vetted out, validated, made sure they are all secured in the marketplace before they could be provided to the customers. And that starts with a publisher first being vetted out through the Technology Alliance Partner Program, the TAP program that Shagun was talking about, followed by listing their solutions, getting validated, which means, just to give you an example on what Eric was talking about, if I were to install Call of Duty, that is what I would want to test it, that it actually installs well on my machine. I'm not going to test like, when he's throwing a grenade to somebody, the explosion actually happens and the game doesn't get stuck there. But it's mostly talking about that, I am validating something, which means when the customer uses it, they could be rest assured that it's going to be working on all different VMware deployment endpoints. So that is what we are doing end to end with this entire, process for publisher to come on board and provide their solutions to the end customers.
Very nice.
So as a publisher, one of the things that you had asked about or brought up, excuse me, was potentially here on the short-term roadmap is revenue, right? So that you're one of these ISVs, you've gone through the certification process. Now it's something that you want to start charging this potential customer base for. What's the thought there? Or are we doing it currently for any of the solution deployments? And how is that going to work and ultimately be deployed out to the customer base? And importantly, how does that look as far as a revenue stream back to the customer? Are we taking a cut of monthly revenue? How does it? Are there only certain revenue streams available as far as monthly recurring or flat fee? And just again, a general overview and how that would work for a potential ISV that wants to start to use the marketplace for a source of revenue generation.
Gotcha. So we are starting with the monetization capability on the marketplace with a very simple solution. As of now, what we're going to allow is that the publisher could host their solutions on the marketplace, and the only way to buy the solutions initially would be through a credit card. So we start via credit card that somebody could come and buy a solution, either a prepaid license or a recurring license for 1 year or 3 years. Those are the standard VMware terms. So anybody could come, they could pay upfront 3 years, upfront 1 year, or they could have a monthly 1 versus 3 years. Those are the different options we are offering as of now. And slowly as the marketplace start evolving, because we are 2 years young right now, we would want to evolve this in a way where we allow for all of the VMware credits to be utilized on the marketplace as well. Followed by
a customer had like VPP or EPP credits out there on an ELA, and they wanted to burn down some of those credits, they'd be able to do it that way?
Yes, we are specifically looking at the SPP credits for now. So SPP credit is what we'll start with, and then slowly we would want to add, advanced, more sophisticated capabilities like, metered billing or tiered billing or, consumption-based billing, et cetera, et cetera. So the way the third-party vendor actually, actually gets very excited about this opportunity is because, first of all, let's say if I were to sell, and I'm going to take a very generic example of Office 365 from Microsoft. The only point of sale would be Microsoft.com. But then what's going to happen is if you go to different telcos, the telecommunication providers like, let's say Telstra in Australia, or you can say British Telecom in Europe, or, Verizon here in the US, they open up other opportunities for sell it to other customers, because the point is people do not really love or like the concept of having different subscription from different vendors. What they would want to do is they would want to aggregate all the different subscriptions that they buy from a single trusted source. What the way it helps is you get a centralized billing, and that way you have to pay just one vendor for everything. And when you start buying things from one single vendor with different subscriptions, you kind of get some discounts because you're bundling up different solutions that you would want to purchase. And that is what exactly VMware is trying to do. Is VMware is trying to tell all these publishers that they could come and they could have another stream of revenue just by tapping into all the VMware customer base. Because VMware customer base is huge. These publishers, they could sell directly, but if they also come to the marketplace, they have another revenue for stream because we have such a big customer base. And the way VMware is going to make or become profitable out of this marketplace would be definitely there's going to be a revenue share. That is not decided on what it's going to be, but the revenue share is going to be based on the entire transaction. And that is how pretty much every other marketplace does it. They try to have like a standard, like, rev share between themselves and the publisher. Whenever a sale is made, whatever the agreed upon revenue share is going to be, that cut is taken by the marketplace and the remaining given to the publisher. And that's how we will be making revenue stream as well for VMware Marketplace.
Now, are we going to dominate and control in-app purchases? I just need to know whether we're going to have a lawsuit from the game manufacturers, or whether we're going to, how are we going to go there?
No, we are not. We don't have Fortnite in our marketplace, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, we don't have in-app purchase concept. It's going to be like one standard purchase that happens, and they're not going to be add-ons as such in the marketplace.
See in-app data center purchases going on. I don't think that's what we're after here, right? But
that's right.
It is a good joke. I do. I love the concept. Matt, I'm thinking that we're going to have these guys come in once a month for 5 minutes on the podcast and just give us the marketplace special, right? Like, we're going to get, special on corn today, or what's the cool app that's on the marketplace that's released. We could just have a marketplace report, right? That's just talking about what's available in the marketplace. I don't know if it's that dynamic.
I want to be Jim Cramer for the VMware Marketplace. I'm going to call it right now.
There you go. We got this. I know we're coming up. We've got maybe 9 more minutes left to the show. So I think we could, as you say, we could go on for hours just talking about this, which I think is kind of fun, right? I'm a big fan of app and delivery of apps, because it just enables more capability. As you get your data center, you need apps, you need that. If we talk about microservices and apps and that kind of stuff, I mean, we're talking about the marketplace, but then we can't forget that a lot of people just build on-prem delivery, right? And Bitnami and that. Does marketplace have any real engagement there? No, not really. Like, we sell Bitnami separately if you want to do this yourselves. Is there a tie-in from the marketplace to your app on-prem Bitnami delivery, right? So I guess I have to decide, am I pulling from marketplace? Am I pulling from my own Bitnami instance on-prem? And is there a tie between the two? I'm just kind of sussing out whether any of that exists.
No, so Bitnami used to exist on its own, but now Bitnami, all of the different solutions that they offer, and to be precise, they have 209 solutions on the marketplace. So people can come to the marketplace and still leverage those Bitnami solutions from the marketplace. The goal is in the future to have just one marketplace initiative within VMware. As you talked about, the last 14 years, you have seen different marketplaces come and go and compete for each other. We want to just have one big marketplace. That marketplace should be good for first and third party.
Right. But I can create an on-prem delivery using Bitnami, right? Do we sell an on-prem solution like bundled? I know you have the open source you can go get, but we also deliver an on-prem solution, right, for distribution based on Bitnami, right? So I think that I should be able to connect the marketplace to my on-prem delivery capability. So if I've got my development team that's building modern apps and they're giving me, microservices, and I'm delivering it with my on-prem delivery service, can I tie that back into the marketplace? I suppose so. There's probably a way.
You can. Our marketplace has a set of APIs, so people could programmatically deliver all the solutions to the marketplace. Right. If they're on-prem, they could leverage our marketplace APIs to deliver everything on the marketplace. So everything that you see on our UI in the marketplace could be accessible via APIs programmatically. So we make sure that API is like, our APIs are exactly replicated to how our UI is to function.
Because I'm getting into the hybrid marketplace now, where I have the cloud marketplace, then I have my on marketplace, and I have to pull from my own, because my developers are feeding into my own, but then I also want to pull standard stuff from the marketplace in general. So yeah,
exactly. So that is one of the use case within VMware as well. Our vRealize team actually have their own in-app catalog, or the in-app marketplace, and they pull all the solutions from the marketplace and make them available for their on-prem customers.
Right. Exactly. Right. Okay. Cool. Matt, what else we got? I know we're coming up to the top of the hour. We're running a little bit behind. Last 5 minutes or last 3
I
minutes.
feel like there's enough questions here that we could have a whole other show, and I genuinely mean that. I've so many other things I want to ask about this from a developer perspective, from a consumer perspective, but I'll just ask two final ones. One, I want to go back to the developer for a second as far as reporting and dashboard functionalities. So to circle back around, we've gone through the validation process. We're maybe potentially looking at revenue. What type of metrics as that ISV, once I log into, I'm sure that there's some type of ISV console that now as a developer that I'm in there that I can see what am I seeing? What am I able to consume? Can I pull that into some other third-party product as far as the APIs that might be available out there? Because I might have that application published in multiple marketplaces. So what's available out there as far as stats, and how can those stats be aggregated as far as APIs and what we have for these ISVs?
Right. So we do have an option of analytics dashboard for all of our marketplace customers. So for marketplace, be it a publisher, as you're talking about, a developer, end user, enterprise, we do not differentiate. Everyone is an organization within the VMware Marketplace. So if they come to the VMware Marketplace and let's say they are developers who are hosting their solutions, they could see a bunch of different metrics. They could see all the subscriptions that have happened within the week, month, quarter, or year. They could see to which all deployment platforms or the endpoints within VMware have the solutions being deployed to. They could see graphs of, what are the products that are being most widely used, who are all their customers who are subscribing to it, unsubscribing, and if they're trying to subscribe, if someone is failing, all that information or metrics are captured and shown to the ISVs. They also get to see all the deployments that have been successfully done, what exact version has been deployed by any company or any organization that we capture and show it to the ISV. And finally, all of the download counts. So really important thing for ISVs to understand is that when they're hosting their solutions on the marketplace, what is the exact deployment / download count? Like how many people are actually using it? So that is the topmost metric that every ISV wants is to know the number of downloads or subscriptions or deployments that happen. So we capture all this information and present to them in a visualization way, something similar to like how, Power BI, Tableau and other people show. We have a very scoped down version of that available in the marketplace. But that is like one thing that we are also working on to improve on a day-to-day basis to make sure that ISVs, once they have the monetization thing live in the marketplace, they have all the different metrics that they could leverage to make sure that the product health is as they expect it to be.
So back to metrics, just real quick. So one of the things that I remember how to this is back in the older marketplace days, is I would go through and I would sort by most popular downloads. And I remember that's to bring back a really old OVA was how I found Zimbra as an admin. So what are the current most 3 popular apps within the marketplace?
So I would say it depends. So most of the applications that are really popular within the VMware Marketplace are the first party VMware applications. A lot of our customers, they use the management packs and content packs. So
sure.
if we,
and that's really important to bring up, right? We're a first party consumer as an org for the marketplace, right? So to your point, exactly, all the management packs that are out there for VROPs and whatnot, this is the preferred deployment mechanism for those utilities.
Correct. So if you'll see on the top 10 list, most of them are the consumption of the management pack and the content pack, because at the end of the day, the goal of VMware Marketplace is to provide that central source of trusted solutions for all of the VMware users. So that shows that our first party products and their management content packs are the most widely used because people are coming to the marketplace and trusting that as like the source of your bits and bytes.
Yeah, and you can also see these popular solutions right on the marketplace URL as well, actually. Right on the first page, you'll see the categories and then scroll down and see the top 10 popular solutions that get automatically populated every day on the marketplace. But yeah, like Arjun said, I just checked actually while he was speaking, and there are a whole bunch of content packs that are showing up again. So
right. So since it's, I mean, we don't want to like always, show the management packs or content packs of the VMware as like the most popular use. We also want to show the third-party solutions because we don't want to portray our homepage to a point that it's only for first party, right? So we want to make sure that the third-party solutions are also highlighted, and that motivates them to come back to the marketplace and submit their solutions.
Okay, at the top of the hour, couple things what community can do for you. I'm just going to answer the question. One, this is free to the community. So community, if you got your home labs, go connect your home labs to the VMware Marketplace and test it out. Pull some things down, learn how it works. It's free to you guys. We're making a major investment here. And for all of you experts out here, if you got your home lab, go connect to the marketplace and and learn how this works, because I think we're going to have them back. We're going to talk about what apps are out there, and you can actually, if you have a cool thing you've written, you can probably get in the stream and put it up there, and at some point you might make some revenue on it. So call to actions, go learn this stuff. It's free. It's a cloud service that doesn't cost anything, which is fantastic. So that's what I'd say there. The final 10 or 15 seconds here. Anybody got any good barbecue recommendations? Shagun, what's your favorite barbecue?
Columbus, Ohio, Ray Ray's. I absolutely had some of the best Southern. We had talked about vinegar with a previous guest here just a couple of weeks ago with that South Carolina style vinegar based barbecue, and was absolutely blown away by it. Not something I thought I would have liked, but Ray Ray's in Columbus, Ohio, absolutely outstanding.
Vinegar barbecue. I did on the barbecue this weekend. Sweet potatoes are available now. So got a big sweet potato, cut it up into thin wedges, and you just char it, grill it on the grill, and man, it makes as good a sweet potato fries as you can get at the counter or anywhere else, like any of the good places around here. You can just take a pure raw sweet potato, cut it up, put it on the grill, and they are just yummy. You can put some salt on it if you want to, and it goes really well with any other barbecue out there. So Arjun, what do you got?
I just do the standard classic cheeseburger and corn on the cob at home. I have like this barbecue, so I just try to do it myself. On top of my head, I don't remember any. I don't remember. I actually was in Calgary, Alberta, probably 3-4 years back, and I'm trying to muscle my brain to figure out what the name of the place was, but their cheeseburger was like off the charts. It was amazing.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Anything Korean barbecue? You got anything for us?
I haven't tried the Korean barbecue.
There you go. All right. With that, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back again next week with a blogger, and we'll get some fun talk with some community members about what they've been blogging on. And oh, by the way, if you've made it to the end, July 30th is Admin Appreciation Day. So we are going to be doing some cool stuff. I know there's going to be some free licenses being sent out for some fun products that we might have had on the podcast last week. So stay tuned for the month of July, because it is the IT Admin Appreciation Day, the 31st, but we're going to run stuff all month. So stay tuned. With that, everybody have a great day, and we'll be back again next week.